Hi, I'm Jamie Carragher, and you are listening to Across the Park podcast.
Welcome to Across the Park podcast, the only place you can hear banter and debate from both sides of Stanley Park, whether it be blue or red. Sponsored by Their Clothing, Camper Kings UK, and affiliation with Betmate. Hello, and thanks for checking out Across the Park podcast, episode 29, season 21-22. You'll see there's only three of us here this week, as always. We're struggling to put out a full team, and I don't know why, but myself, Ian Mills, Andrew Price, and Phil Roberts. I'm really glad that you've checked us out on audio and YouTube. If you are on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. As always, it really does help us. You heard in the intro there. Big shout out to our sponsors, as always. First of all, Camper Kings UK. If you head on over to the Camper Kings UK website, and we're getting late nights now. We're getting light mornings. It is time to go exploring with your family, exploring with your friends. Get out there, get a camper van, go and enjoy yourself. And if you quote Across the Park podcast, the guys over at Camper King, will give you free insurance, and they'll also give you a bottle of bubbly to enjoy whenever you park up as well, which is fantastic. Big shout out to the guys over at Camper Kings, as well as Their Clothing, virclothing.com. It's menswear, but it's fantastic menswear. We're sponsored by them. They give us some really great clothing, which we look really cool in. If you can believe that, even I look really cool in work when I'm wearing those t-shirts. But if you get over there and if you type in ATP20 at checkout, magically you get 20% off on Across the Park podcast for all your purchases. And a big shout out as always to our affiliates over at Betmate. Betmate are the guys with the Betmate app. You can come and play against us week after week. There's another game this week. You've got to pick your combined sides from Everton, Liverpool, and the two opponents. Goalkeepers get points, defenders get points, midfielders get points. It's a live league table. Terry and Gary both took some money home this week, so we do really need you guys to come and take some money off Judgy, Gary, and Terry, who are winning every week. It'll cost you £3. We will go through our teams at the end of the show for what we think will get some Domino's pizzas for the boys, Terry and Gary, enjoyed this week. I think that the main bit of this show is going to be, and I don't think any Liverpool fan is going to complain about this, Pricey. We are like a stone in the water. There was a big talk last week about these two home games coming up. Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Football last week was saying Everton need 4 points or they're doomed. I think some fans online, our private WhatsApp groups, I imagine the Evertonians watching this, we're all thinking 4 or 6 points. We've got none already. One game gone. We don't want to be Monday Night Football here, so we're not going to go into a full-on analysis. But you've said already on this podcast you're worried. How do you feel now?
Worried times 10. I'm proper worried. I mean, you said there we were hoping to get. Well, say we were hoping to get these two games this week was 4 points minimum. I'd say. Yeah. It's been like that the week before. If we can just get a point, or if we can just get a couple of points in the weeks that have gone before it. But the games are running out. The games are running out of time, and that's the issue. You look at how many games we've got coming up. You look at even the teams that we've got to play. And we've got to play Burnley. You've got to play Watford. You've got to play Brentford, and it's them games. You think, well, we get 3 points off Burnley. We'll get our 3 points off Watford. You can't say that. You can't honestly say that. I mean, I was looking at the games we've got left, and I think it gives us 12 points out of the remaining fixtures, which puts us on 34 for the season. And that's me. I mean, I know there's always the game where is there always the game? But generally, there's a game where you get a surprise result. You might beat Chelsea or whatever, and you're not expecting it to. But based on past performances and based on this season, I can't see that. I can't see that happening. I can't see us beating one of the better teams in the league, and so we're going to rely on Thursday. Well, Sunday was one game, but we're going to rely on Thursday, Newcastle. Then we're going to have to rely on the games against the teams around us, like your Brentfords and your Burnley, Watfords. We're going to have to beat them Like that's non-negotiable. We're going to have to beat them because otherwise it only takes one of those two teams, Burnley or Watford, to go on a bit of a run. We're that close to them. It only takes one of those teams to go on a bit of a run, and we're gone.
How have we got to this? Now, we could probably spend hours on this, but we haven't got hours. But summarise it. How have we got to this point where we're in March and we're breaking ourselves? This club is teetering on a disaster for me. If Everton go down and all the implications of what happens with, is husband ever involved? Are the Premier League going to look at, what Everton have done in breaching the financial fair play? How have we got to this point?
In the season, or you mean like this season? How we've got
in general? How are Everton on the verge? In my opinion, you might not agree, on the verge of a disaster.
Well, you can't keep making bad decisions like we have done over the last 5 years and expect a different result. It's just been one bad decision after the next bad decision, and we're at a bit of a perfect storm at the minute. Whereas you got relegation, you got the USM sanctions, you've got the stadium which is trying to be built. It's a perfect storm of things coming together that if we go down, we're going to be like a sinking stone. I can't see us coming back up if we go down. Now this season, how it's happened is, I said, I'm not saying I predicted it or anything, but a while back around Christmas time, I said if we're not careful, we'll just slowly keep dropping. And I think that's sort of what you get from the players is, we're too good here. We're not going to go down. It doesn't look as though they're in a relegation battle. They're not playing as if they're in a relegation battle. They're playing as if we'll be all right. We're better than these teams around us. We're going to be all right. Yeah. And that's the way it's felt. That's the way some fans have felt. We've got mates who felt that way. We've gone, no, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Weeks go on. All of a sudden, you look around, you go, hang on, we need to get a grip of it here. And that's not just the fans. That feels like the way the players have been playing this season.
Do you know what it felt like in the grounds? You may not agree. 85 minutes in, it just went quiet. And I said to the lad next to me, I said, it feels like a bit of an acceptance here. That the grounds are like, because it was quiet in the first half, and it wasn't like that against Leeds, and it wasn't like that against Brentford. I think the ground, the anxiety is now, swallowing some fans up, and I'm guilty of that. I went standing on my seats starting songs yesterday. I was really nervous in the ground, but it came to a point with, I don't know, it just felt different yesterday. It felt like the fans are starting to just accept that we're doomed.
I think you picked up on an instant match. You can't keep expecting, from a fan's point of view, and as we go the game ourselves, you're on a downer, aren't you? So you've been beat 5-0 on Monday and with a woeful display. You're then coming in, you know how important it is, but you can't be expected to come in and create the atmosphere every single time. The players have got to give you something back. They've got to create the atmosphere themselves sometimes. So, yeah, the fans have got to try and the best we can, but it's not our job to do that. It's not us. It's like they're relying on us if the fans aren't up for it, we won't win. That's just a bad way to be. That's not the way a professional football player needs to play. The lack of commitment and the lack of desire of, like I say, looking like they're in a relegation battle, looking like it means something to them. They feed off the fans, but the fans feed off that. If we can see that on Monday night and then we see it again in the first, we started okay, but in the first 15, 20 minutes, but then if you sort of get the impression that the players aren't, hang on, they're not up for it here, they're not capable, the fans do get nervous and it does reflect on the pitch. So you can say the fans all you want, and I agree with what you're saying on instant match reaction. You can say the fans, and the fans have got to get behind them, but the players have got to give us something. It's not, they can't be relying on the fans to keep them up. Professional footballers.
When you said they've got to give you something pricey, you don't even mean like fantastic play, do you? Sometimes a proper hard tackle or just something to get behind.
Evertonians, right, will get behind the players if they run, if they make a sprint and they try and close the ball down. Andy Gordon, a perfect example. If you put a tackle in, if you put your head in there, or if you block a shot, that's where we get up for it. That's what we'll get behind, and we're not expecting to see Brazil. We're not expecting to see Man City type football. We just want it to look like we give a shit, basically, and we're trying. And if we see that, we'll be right on them, and we'll be up for it. But if we don't see that, I can see the pressure the other side, because it is. it must be hard for them to play when it's nervous, because I feel in the stadium, sure Millsy does, it feels anxious even when you're in the stadium sat back from you. So if you're in the middle of it, it's bound to feel anxious, but that's they can set that tone from the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. They can set that tone for the fans, and at the moment they're not doing it.
They have not got it in them. This group of players have not got that in them, and that's the fear for me. I'm not looking at this group of players going, at least we've got X, Y, and Z. I don't look. They dropped Allen and they dropped Michael Keane. Now there's two players who, on paper, you'd think that Michael Keane has been involved with Burnley. He must have some sort of know-how how to get out of it. You're looking at Allen, who's apparently this combative midfield player who wins duels and he'll drive you forward. So now the manager is dropping these players because they're not good enough. And then he's throwing that much shit at the wall now, the manager. And this is not an attack on Frank Lampard. He does not know his best team, and I don't expect him to. But now you're dropping players and you're bringing other ones in, and it's still not working. Everton have not got the character to get out of this. The only way, and I'll go on record saying this, the only way Everton get out of this is if no one leaps us going forward.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree that the manager, he has to do something. He can't keep playing the same players and expect a different result. So he has to change something. So Michael Keane was the obvious one. I've been saying, we've been saying it for weeks on. He needed dropping. So Alan, I wouldn't have dropped him. Personally, I mean, I'm not going to have a go with the team, because no matter what team you put out, they're all shite, aren't they? So you're always going to say, so he shouldn't be playing or he should be playing. Feel like you're laughing. I'm serious. He should always.
Stop me coke out then.
It's true though, isn't it? So we can all say he shouldn't play. He shouldn't play. Personally, I wouldn't have dropped Allen. He's not my favourite player, but I think he's better than what's put in there. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't have dropped him. But it is true. The manager doesn't know. He's like, I'm going to have to do something here. What can I do? He doesn't know, because, as I said, they're all as bad as each other. And then it's the commitment. It's the pure will to win. The commitment to them and the desire out of them. I'd say we've got one leader on the pitch, and that's Seamus Coleman, and he's a little bit past, and I feel sorry for him, but he's our leader. I don't see any other leaders on the pitch apart from him. And
the only other one I watch who seems to care is Anthony Gordon. You could say Ben Godfrey. Yes, they looked. He got tired, and you can't fault that because he's been out for 4 or 5 weeks. But
leaders, Millsy.
I've named 3 players there who, rightly or wrongly, you might disagree. I've named 3 out of a squad of 25.
Yeah, but I'm talking about leaders, because you'd say I'd put Pickford in there. It's harder for a keeper to show that he cares, but I'd say Pickford's mentality and the way he comes across on the pitch is like he cares. But I mean leaders. I mean, Andy Gordon's not a leader. Yeah, he tries hard, and I really rate him, and he's been brilliant last couple of weeks. Our only player against Tottenham, and as you say, Sunday as well, he was good. But he's not a leader, and you wouldn't expect him to be a leader at 21. So I'm talking about leaders, people who Andy Gordon can look to and go, I'm following him. You know what I mean? I'm going to follow what he's doing, and Coleman's the only one we've got, and that's the issue. That's the years of neglect of poor management on the recruitment side of it, how we've ended up in this position.
You could do with a leader in midfield as well, couldn't you? I think midfield's a key position to have a leader as well, someone who's involved in all aspects of the game. And failing a leader, even if you have like a character sometimes, because they can sort of deal with the like a Gravison type person. He might not be leading the team, but he can he's not going to bottle it on the day. He's still like got something about him. Might not be leadership, might not be the right word. I think it's character, but everyone just seems like flat.
Phil, honestly, these Everton teams who've struggled in the past, if you go back to 1994, you'd had Neville Southall, Dave Watson, Barry Horn. You'd had players who you at least knew give a damn. In 1998, you had Duncan Ferguson, you had Dave Watson again. For a large part of that season, you had Gary Speed fighting for Everton Football Club. Under Walter Smith, when things were going bad, you had Lee Carsley, you had David Weir, you had Alan Stubbs. You're right in what you're saying. This team, and again, I'm repeating myself, it's character. And if you want to get out of relegation scrap, how many teams have we seen go down? You look at Blackpool, who came up and sort of lit the division up, but had no leaders. They were just trying to play football, and they went down. On the flip side, you look at teams like Bradford and Wimbledon, who had enough character. Burnley every year have enough character to stay in this division. The big fear for me now, and I really hope I'm overreacting here, and I hope I'll look back at this with a pint in June and say, good God, you're wrong there, lads. I do not see the fight and the character in that team. Whenever Everton go a goal down, they're done. They're absolutely done. And Frank Lampard has said that in his press conferences. And I was on a podcast last week with Terry, and Terry was saying that he thought Everton set up wrong at Tottenham, and I agreed to an extent. But I also said, look, he's trying to score the first goal because he knows that group of players, if they go a goal behind, the game is over. And as soon as Wolves scored yesterday, the ground went quiet. There was no Everton songs. There was no come on. And do you know what? There was no one on the pitch doing it either. At least you want someone. And I said this to Terry last week, Phil, if Liverpool go down, how many players on your team are rallying the troops and going, come on? I'd probably say 75% of them.
Yeah, a lot of them, yeah, you're right.
We don't have it.
No, we just put our head down and walk back to our position, don't we? That every player just puts his head down, walks back into position for the kickoff. It's a killer. But we're getting to the point what you just mentioned there about having fight, and mentioned Burnley. We're getting to the point. I know Burnley haven't been down there as bad as they are for a couple of seasons, but it's them type of players. Like it's the last part of the season now where it doesn't matter how you play. It doesn't matter if you play well. It's about scraping the results, and it's about fighting and getting the points where it matters. And our players are not committed enough, or don't appear to be committed enough for it. Haven't got the experience of doing it, and don't look like they've got it in them to do it. So where the Burnley players might be more used to it, they know how to grind out a result, they know how to not concede and maybe nick one. We don't know how to do that. We're not capable of doing that, and that's the problem for me. And it reminds you of like a West Ham when they went down, or Leeds. Is like they haven't got them type of players. That good players. They are a lot better players than what we had, but it wasn't them scrappy players that you need. Do you know what I mean? Them hard nuts that you need just to scrape out your wins, and we haven't got any of those players, and that's the problem for me. That's why I'm really worried, is the fact that we haven't. It's like they haven't got to that stage yet where we're rolling our sleeves and digging, and that's probably because we can't.
Do you think there's an element? Sorry, Phil. Placing. Do you think there's an element of? I mean, every football fan has got tinted glasses, and especially when things are going right. You go down the pub and you talk combined teams, and we'll always try and push as much as we can. And every football fan is a fan of their team at certain points. On our team, if you try and take the Evertonian out of yourself, if you try and look at it in a unbiased, format, are our team that good? Is the keeper that good? Is Decore as good as we think he is with 3 goals this season? Is Richarlison with 5 goals this season and 7 last? Is he that good? Should we remove ourselves from this and just say, look, let's look in the mirror? We're shit.
Well, yeah, because I've been go back on all the podcasts I've been saying every time when Benitez was here, and I was saying it's not the manager, the players are poor. We've got poor players. The players are. It's all I've said all season, because that's what I honestly believe. I think the players are not good enough. But then you look at Burnley. You look at Watford, Burnley, Brentford. They've got Brentford. They've got Tony up front, who's a player. Apart from them, have they got players that you put in our team? Is it because we see our players week in, week out, so we know the weaknesses, whereas we don't know theirs, or we know the strengths and we don't know theirs? So on paper, our team isn't on paper. It's too good to go down on paper. Do you know what I mean? And I hate to use that phrase, but on paper it is. It's better than other teams. It's not in the worst 3 teams in the league. It's not one of the worst 3 squads in the league. It's just not. So then it does come to that point of commitment and having a go. The players aren't good enough to be where we want them to be, but I think they are good enough to stay up in terms of, on paper, how good they are as footballers. It's whether they've got the fight in them, and that's what I'm saying is the problem.
Going around the city.
Sorry, go on, lad. Sorry.
I was just going to say, going around the city as I do for my job and speaking to taxi drivers and customers and all that, and we often talk about, Everton and do you think they're going to go down? No one says yeah. I mean, everyone's putting the current bottom 3 plus Leeds and Brentford. 5 teams there that they're saying they think are more likely to go down than Everton. Do you seem less pessimistic or more pessimistic than most people I speak to? Or is it just a natural worry that a supporter feels?
No, look, Watford done yesterday what this Everton team cannot do. And they'll go and upset the odds and win away. This Everton team, I watch Everton away and I know what I'm getting. I don't even know why I watched them. And I'll tell you what, you couldn't pay me to go to the Anfield Derby. You couldn't pay me to go to that one. It's just... So, I imagine on what Price spoke about there, which is a great reference, on paper. I don't think if you ask a Burnley or a Brentford fan, would you take Jordan Pickford? Would you take Ben Godfrey? Would you take Richarlison? Would you take Allen? Would you take Decore? I imagine there's all say yes, but the game's not played on paper. And I think God bless the Blues who aren't worried, because you're having better sleeps than me. So God bless you, but I am so far the other way now, and this is not something new. Marco Silva was sacked because he was 18th in December 2019 with the same core. Sam Allardyce was brought in because Ronald Koeman was going that way as well. It's the same core. It's the same players. They're just not that good. So God bless the Blues who are confident, and God bless anyone else who thinks Everton are in trouble. I am so far the other way. Talking about you, Price.
Yeah, so the players aren't good enough for what we want, what we expect them to do. And I go back again, the issue with your Watford and your Burnley is we're so far in it, it only takes one of those two teams to go on a run. We're not relying on a couple of clubs to go on a run. We're relying on one team to go on a run. To go on a run. As soon as they do, that puts us in it. And that's what's dangerous for me, because Watford have got we've got a new manager, but they've got a new manager and they've just won. That could give them the confidence. They've got that win. It's getting that first win that to breed the confidence. We got it at Leeds and it was a false start because straight away.
We played them, and we played a pair of them.
Yeah.
There's the win. That could be the win. If Everton go to Burnley or go to Watford and lose, you're done. And I'm sick of saying next game. And now I'm looking to Newcastle on Thursday. Price, just to run, we had some loads of social media today, just to run some quick questions by you. Mike Holt, friends of the show, he's a Red, so I imagine he's enjoying asking us this, but he's basically said, worst case scenario, Pricey, if the Blues go down, what would realistically, in your opinion, come of the stadium? So that's a whole new conversation. Are Everton financially able to carry on with the Bramley Moore development?
I don't know. I'd imagine they were. I don't know. Is the honest answer? I don't know how the finances are. I haven't looked into it closely or whatever for that question. But I'd imagine they were. But the issue, say we do get the stadium still, but we are still. We're not coming straight back up if we go down. You get rid of your assets in the squad, don't you, to make some money? So that leaves us in a worse position. Place them with championship players, so we're stuck in the championship for me at best by the time the stadium comes. But the issue is you lose your attendances that you're relying on for Premier League. You're losing your sponsors. You know, you're selling that much corporate, which is part of the reason that you go and get a new stadium to bring the money in. So even if the stadium is there, you're stuck with a stadium that is too good for the position you're in. So you can't fill it. You haven't got the advertising for it, so you're losing money straight away. So the stadium being there will probably lose us money, and then you get into a position and you get pessimistic and you think, you look at someone like Derby, and Derby had to sell. They got a new stadium. They went down there to sell their stadium and rent it back.
Sunderland
went down. So if you're being pessimistic about it, I don't know if the stadium stops or not. I'm guessing it carries on. We wouldn't be in that worse a position to have to stop, considering that we started building it. But
the thing is,
go on, sorry.
Mashiri will probably look to sell Everton, I would have thought, if you go down. And he'll be trying to sell it with the stadium being his key thing to get the valuation up. But I bet you he'd want too much money, considering what someone would be taking on with the FFP and the assets going out the door. You'd be relying any purchase would be relying too much on we will get up, but who's going to take that chance? And
well, do you know what, Phil? We got one of our Twitter followers, Toffee Talk, and he's saying exactly what you're saying. He's saying there, look, with the new stadium on the horizon and probably about 10 new players required for next, regardless what league that we're in, what do you think Mashiri's next move is if Everton are relegated? Price, do you think he sticks around?
I think I go back to what Phil said. He probably asked for too much. He's not going to write off what he's put into it. You know, it's not a situation. I don't think I might be wrong where he'll just go, right, I'll just take an action price. I'll just cut my losses and get and go. I don't think he'll do. I think he'll keep it for the season. At least he'll want to keep it. See if we can bounce back. He got the parachute payments. If we can bounce back straight away, not the end of the world for him as an owner. So I don't think he'll want to sell straight away. I think if we're stuck in the championship, we can't get. I mean, it's fucking horrible talking like this, but we're stuck in the championship. We don't come back up. Then I think that's when he might look to sell it. But the longer that goes on, the more his assets diminishing, isn't it?
you've got that Mike Ashley thing where he knows he wants to sell it and he stops putting any money in then because he's trying to sell, doesn't want to spend any more before he does. And you don't want that situation either, do you?
No, but it's a roll of the dice, isn't it? If you go down, it's all relying on what Machidi wants to do. It's all in his hands. We're in his hands at the moment in terms of where we have been, haven't we, the last few years in terms of decisions he's made. And if he takes us down, if he wants to sell it, that's up to him. We can't do anything about it. But the worst thing is, it's say the majority of his bad decisions that got us in the first place. So he's only got himself to blame if we do go down, in my opinion.
Just a couple more tweets, and then we will move on to the Reds. Pricey, stop me if you want to react to any of these. We had lots of tweets this morning. Nick Morris, he's basically tweeted us and he said, "I don't trust this group of players to fight for survival in our next 12 games. I hope nothing more than they prove me wrong, starting with Thursday. I just can't see it." Sean Pugh has said, "Money wasted on Patterson and Mikalenko that should have been spent on a centre-half is going to be the downfall. I can't believe how badly run we are." And then we had Andy Shaw messages. He said, "Being hamstrung by FFP for previous spending, appointing Benitez, giving him full control, selling our biggest creator in James without a replacement, selling our vice-captain Luca Dean over a row with a manager that was sacked 2 days later, a horribly, horribly ran club, reaping what it sows. Some teams go down because they never had the quality. That's not us. We'll go down because we've made one bad decision too many. Our relegation will be self-inflicted."
And that's true. And he's talking about this season. And as I said, I've gone further than that and said it's accumulation of five years of bad decisions. But he's not. So I agree with. Sorry, I didn't catch his name when you said it, but I agree with him.
Andy Shaw.
I agree with him. It's poorly run, and it's as I said before, it's just a perfect storm. We're coming. It's called coming to a head. All those decisions, and then put on top of that, as I said, the sanctions and all that. It's bad.
Scary. All right, well, just one last question and then we will move on to the Reds. So Darren O'Day has asked a question. I think we've touched upon it already, but it's probably the best way to lead this Everton section, if you will. My question this week for the lads is simple. Do you think Everton Football Club has what it takes to fight right now and battle? Us as fans have done everything asked of us and we continue to do so. Can this team grow a backbone and fight for us right now?
If they are going to, it has to start on Thursday. I know we've been saying this for time and time again, but it's got to start on Thursday. I think we've answered that. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think they have, and I think we're relying on other teams to not go on a run. That's my position. That's the way I feel. We're relying on other teams. It's not about whether we can do it, it's whether other teams have got it in them or not.
Yeah,
I'd love to be proved wrong.
I agree. All right, well, I'm sure the Reds enjoyed that. But it might be a time, Pricey, for us to just poke Phil a little bit here. So as always, I've stopped watching Liverpool. They just win every game. So you can talk about Brighton if you want. We can talk about should the keeper have been sent off. We can talk about the goals. What I want to talk about, Phil, is a little bit of noise, including some key comments from your manager. Is Mo Salah on the verge of officially rejecting the contract that's been offered to him? Because the noises are coming out. Jurgen Klopp said this week, Liverpool have done all they can, and it's down to Mo Salah. Okay, but the contract's not been signed. Are you starting to worry about whether you'll see Mo Salah in Liverpool's shirt for much longer?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I think it's starting to look likely that he's not going to sign, looking at the noise that has been coming out of the club. Jurgen Klopp, as you mentioned, has publicly gone on record to say Liverpool have done what they can. Two things that was multifactorial. One of them was show ambition. We've gone out there and got Luis Diaz. We spent a lot of money on a defender at the start of the season. So we're showing ambition. We're in for 4 cups still in the latter stage of the season. And then the other side, obviously, was about the wages. Mohamed Salah's obviously gone out there and said, I'm one of the top 2-3 players in the world. This is what the top players get paid. His comparable evidence will probably be the likes of Mbappe, Messi, Ronaldo. They're probably all on about 500 grand a week. I don't know what they're on, but it's getting on for that, isn't it? Them sort of figures. And he's probably said, I'm worth as much as they are. True comment. But If he wants to play for Liverpool, he wants to be in the Premier League, he wants to be in the running for 4 cups, in a league that matters, then he's got it all there. So if he leaves, Rio Ferdinand said it best the other night. He said he'll show himself that it's about money. It can't really be about success. What you want to, what are you going to do? Where can he possibly go? We know Barcelona are like up the wall financially, so you're looking at maybe Real Madrid, but the talk is Mbappe's going there. So you're talking PSG.
But that's appealing, surely. Now, me and Pricey spoke before about maybe removing ourselves, as hard as it is, and trying to look at it as a neutral. As a neutral, for somebody who's on the verge of winning the Ballon d'Or year after year, who whether he stays or not, in my opinion, has cemented his legacy now at Hughes. He's been a massive part of giving you what you guys wanted. You wanted the league title. He was part of it. He's also put another Champions League on there, the World Club Cup. Whatever you do this season, can you see him? Can you see the reason why his head would be turned by a Real Madrid or by a PSG?
Not by a PSG, genuinely, because look at their fans. Look at the time Gini Wijnaldum's having over there. Their players get booed. You know, if they don't win stuff, their season's over, by the way, already. I think they've got nothing left to play for, really.
They'll win the domestic league, but they're very much yet the only,
Yeah, that's done, and so I don't know. I cannot imagine if he's so ambitious. He so loves his football. He wants to be winning things in serious games every week, playing at the highest level. But he's talking about going to France. Like, I'm just not having it. I mean, you can go to Munich, I suppose. Same thing though. It's a league that's
no. I can't see that.
No, I can't see that either. Real Madrid, maybe, but if they get Mbappe, I don't think they're in a financial position to buy both, are they? I wouldn't have thought.
It depends because Mbappe's not going to come with a transfer fee, is he? At the end of the day, and then I mean Madrid. I mean Spain in general, Madrid in particular, have always found ways of being. The governments have helped them out with things. I remember when they signed Benzema, Ronaldo. I think it was Varane as well, all in one summer when they were bankrupt 2 months prior. I mean, Real Madrid is so important to Spain and so important to La Liga. They'll always find a way out of it.
Yeah.
And you look at someone like Real Madrid and maybe not so much Barcelona. They'll be back. What's happening now won't last. The world will, eventually get back to where it was, and Barcelona and Real Madrid will be fine eventually. For me, the appeal to go and play for £500,000 a week, but I don't know. I just think that there's still a massive pull for Real Madrid and Barcelona for the player, and if Barcelona or Real Madrid can negotiate some sort of deal that makes Liverpool as a club, as happy as they can be with what they're getting, I think there's legs in it, and I'm not saying that to poke, and I'm not saying it because I'm an Evertonian. I'm watching it from the outside. He's not signed the contract. There's more noise again. It's going on and going on and going on.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think there's something in it, and I think he is going to end up probably going to one of them clubs. What I'm questioning is if he does do that, what's inside Mo Salah? What's he all about? That's what I'm questioning. Liverpool as a club, we've got a wage structure. A lot of fans that I speak to just say, give him the money, whatever he wants, and all that. And you understand it because I know how good Mo Salah is. But there's a wage structure that you've got to adhere to, hasn't it? And we've obviously put it on the table now. It's obviously on the table, the best we can do.
Where do you stand on it? Would you give him what he wants?
Not necessarily, because there's a line in the sand always, isn't there?
But isn't there only so many special players at one point, and he's in that echelon where I'm not saying he'd pay for himself, but I imagine if you've done some sort of tour of Africa, I imagine he brings a lot of money in anyway, but I imagine there's ways to sort of self-fund at least part of what he wants, the difference.
Of course there is, yeah, but you've got to think about there's two sides to that. One, at some point you reach your limit, don't you? Wherever that is, it could be £1 million a week, but at some point you reach your limit. And Liverpool have probably thought long and hard about it and put it out there. It's not just about him paying for himself, though, Millsy. Van Dijk's going to say, well, hang on, I'm almost that important as Mo Salah. Alisson's going to say the same. The captain might want to say the same. Mane might have a word to say. Luis Diaz on his next contract might want to say the same. Trent might want to say the same thing. And, we just can't operate within that. So no one player is bigger than the club. It doesn't usually work out for players who leave Liverpool better than it was before. And yeah, you said before, Salah will be a legend. He always will. We've achieved so much, plus what we might achieve this season. But if you leave for money, it tarnishes it. It really does. And, that's it. I mean, Sorry, go on. Go on.
I was just going to say, I'd go the other way than what you're saying, Mills. I think Liverpool are already planning for potentially losing Salah. I think you've got Jota, haven't you? You've got Diaz. They'll probably be signing Cavallo in the summer.
That's done.
Done. So you've also got Mane. You've obviously got Firmino. So there's going to be you could go on about Origi and that, but in terms of your top players, I think they're already planning to potentially lose Salah. So having those players come in, getting a lot of money for Salah and reinvesting it in the squad, I don't think that'd be the end of the world, would it? Or is he going on a free? Is he, Salah?
Well, he's due to leave June 23. So if he doesn't sign the contract, it reaches, you let him play it out, or just sell him summer 22. It'll be one of them.
But I think you've already started planning for the potential of losing him.
Yeah,
I always thought you was a potential of losing Firmino, which probably is right as well. But I think the fact that Diaz and Jota have hit the ground running, you've got Mane there as well, and as I say, Cavallo coming in. It doesn't look too bad for Liverpool, even if Salah goes, as long as he goes abroad and doesn't stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, it'd be a nightmare if he went to City. But yeah, I'm with you on that. But you know what? Fans don't like that. Right? Like we could know or have a strong suspicion that Salah's going to leave, and so that's why we've signed Diaz. That could be what it is. And then Salah goes, and everyone's like, right, we're going to replace him now. Who are we going to get? And and really, the club are thinking, they don't come out and say it, but they think we've already done it. It's Diaz. Fans never like that. But look, the way he's playing, he's being on fire. The way he played against Brighton the other day. Very brave for his goal. And, just in general, though, his play since we signed him, which speaks to the club, how well the club do in picking potential players for Liverpool. It's not just what his output and his stats. He is a Liverpool player. There's absolutely no doubt about it. He fits this style. His tenacity, his running, his tracking back. It's superb. And, how much would we miss Salah? Well, we'd miss him 20 goals. He's already scored 20 goals, or he's about to score 20 goals in the league, which he's done 3 out of the last 4 seasons. So that's got to be replaced. But, you lose a few goals, you get a few more from someone else who will find themselves in them spaces that Salah's normally in. If you can tighten up a little bit more at the back, which I think we've got room to do, then you can cope. You can cope.
So I think you're right. I think you're right in the wage structure argument that you're putting forward. Is I wouldn't break the bank. I'd keep the wage structure. And if you can't give him what he wants, let him go. And that's the way I would do it if I was Liverpool. I think I agree with what you're saying. I wouldn't then you've got yourself, I just said your Van Dijk's not wanting more wage. It just becomes untenable then, doesn't it? So I think Liverpool are in a strong position, even if they let him go. To be fair,
how much would he get with 1 year left, realistically?
Would the club get? I would have thought
if money's on the table from one of the big European clubs, i.e. PSG, whether you agree with that or not, if they offer 80 million, does that get him with a year left?
80.
Are you still looking at 100 plus with 1 year left?
I don't know, really. I can't really think of other examples of where that's been the case, but it's supply and demand, isn't it? The price of anything is about supply and demand. The supply of Mo Salah is quite low and the demand's quite high. So I would have thought 80 plus, but I don't know.
It's whether there's a club who are desperate to get him and don't trust themselves to win a bidding war in terms of contract, isn't it? So they just go in with the money in the summer and just say, look, there's a transfer fee, we're going to pay it now, rather than getting into that negotiation when there's going to be, come January, he's going to be negotiating with 5 or 6 clubs probably, isn't he, however many want him.
Yeah, well, the opposite question to that, Phil, is do you see a scenario where he stays for a year and leaves on a free?
Yeah, I can see all possibilities, to be honest. I don't think that should happen. Liverpool have got a good chance to make a lot of money on Mo Salah. And so, for me, a decision's got to be made 2022. Mind you, with that said, what's worth more, money and attempting to rebuild, or what you might win in 2023? with Mo Salah. Because if we win another league and Champions League, is that better than reinvesting in a player who's only half as good and you don't win anything with him? But you've got to back Liverpool to get it right. Like they just, as I mentioned with Luis Diaz, inevitable, and Jota as well. Look at him; he's the third highest or the second highest goal scorer in the Premier League. We get it right. We always get it right. So you've got to back the club, whatever they do. Really, if they sell him, I backed them to reinvest that 80 million.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on towards the end of the show. We've got some big games coming up. Pricey, I'll touch upon Newcastle in a minute, and also this how crap we are. We're one game from Wembley, and we're not even focused on it. That's how important the league is for us. But Phil, first of all, you've got Arsenal away Wednesday, and then FA Cup quarter final at the weekends. What are your thoughts heading into two big games?
Well, they are big games. That's the first thing, isn't it? It's a major week for Liverpool. I mean, I think City are playing Palace tonight. If this podcast goes out, the result might be in. Look, Palace beat them at the Etihad, didn't he? So I think it's at Palace's ground tonight. I think City have only beat them 4 out of the last 8 times they've played them. So there's hope. But I'm like you when it comes to City.
Moments of magic, lads. Moments of magic.
I'm like you, though. I've stopped watching City because they always win. I hate it.
I watch City. It's the only thing I've got. It's the only thing keep me going.
Yeah. That's it. So I'm hopeful. But, I'm expecting them to get the 3 points, really, City. And so it makes Arsenal a massive game. They're a good team. They're a good side. And I think Liverpool's form has dipped of late, Inter beat us. We're starting to maybe like struggle past teams. Mo Salah's actually come out and said to the players, publicly, I think you've been a little bit complacent. I think we need to, really focus now. By the way, Mo Salah's showing all the commitment in terms of all that, and on the pitch as well. And I don't think that'll ever dwindle. But yeah, it's major. I think we need to step it up. One of the good things that we're seeing is that we're getting over the line, aren't we? We're not conceding, we're scoring, we're winning games, and that's got to continue. You said before about Everton, it's not about how you do it at this point now. It's about fighting, it's about getting the win. And Arsenal will be the same thing. I think we can outfight them as well as outplay them. So whichever way the game goes, I think we'll nick it. But we're not really in a place where we're putting 5 and 6 goals past teams and blowing them out the park. So I don't expect that to necessarily change against Arsenal. But I fancy us to battle it out.
How important? I mean, looking ahead, it's hard to ask you about the season because there's lots to play for. But it's FA Cup quarter-final weekend. The likelihood is that you're going to book a place at Wembley for the semi-final, and then you one game from a final. How important is the FA Cup to you?
Oh, mega important to me personally. And and the dream of that quadruple, keeping that alive. The players have got a lot to play for, so he's got to rotate. He's got to think about the bigger picture. The main 2 things are always going to be the the Champions League and the Prem. So at some point he's got to cycle the players in and out a little bit. But yeah, it's the business end, isn't it? As you said, one game from Wembley. I wouldn't go 2. I'd be looking to go pretty serious. And I think that winning mentality is infectious. It becomes a habit. And I think we need to go strong. And I fancy us too. It's Nottingham Forest. That's the other side of it. We should blow them out the park. That's my first ever game, by the way. Forest. We won 4-2, 1996. But
Who scored?
Collymore 2, Fowler 2.
Nice, that good memory.
We signed Collymore from Forest. It was his first game against them. Anyway,
week in history for sort of a game on.
But yeah, not much more to say on it, mate. I want us to go strong, and I'm confident for both games.
All right, well, Pricey, the flip side of the question for you is I've asked Phil there how important the FA Cup is to him. Is it even on your radar at the minute with 2 big games coming up? The FA Cup quarter-final against Crystal Palace. This show should be all about that for me, but we've got Newcastle on Thursday. Is the FA Cup even on your radar at the moment?
No, I'll be honest, it's not. It's obviously there, and badly want to get to Wembley, badly want to progress in the competition, but you don't want to be a Wigan either, do you? And go down, and if you do get successful in the FA Cup, I'm not thinking about it. I think the Newcastle game is first and foremost. It's the old saying of one game at a time, which you hear players saying, but that's the way I feel. I feel I'll go into Sunday, the Palace game on Sunday, feeling a lot better if we beat Newcastle. We can go into it and we can feel like pressure's eased a little bit in the league. Now let's go and get into the semi-final of the cup. Do you know what I mean? That's where I'll be at. If we lose against Newcastle, don't get wrong, I'll still be up for the Palace game, but it won't be as I won't feel as excited as I will do, because I think I'll just feel on a downer from Thursday still. But we've wanted to get to Wembley, we've wanted to win a cup for as long as it's been, and we've just still got to hope that we do, and still hope that we turn up and perform.
Can I ask a mad question at this point? If you did a Wigan and you won the cup, and how good? What if you won every game next season? Wouldn't that be nice?
No, I am not reviewing Everton 1, Blackburn 1 on this show next year.
Could it be potentially the most enjoyable season of your life if you win every game in the Championship? Almost.
No.
You'd hate it, even if you're winning every week.
No, because we're in the Championship. There's no banter. We'll come on here and you'll go, yeah, so what? You only beat Luton and you'll kill us. It'll
just feel like, let's get through it. Yeah, we've won, but we just want to get through it, get the weeks ticking over to get back in the league, in the Premier League.
You wouldn't be a... Yeah, okay. So
it'd be like standing in a bar in a pre-party waiting for the club to open, and you're not really into the pre-party. You don't want to be there, but your wristband's got you in. You're waiting. It's not going to be. If Everton go in the Championship next season, I won't enjoy a minute of it. I was
joking, but I wasn't. I was being like.
Oh, I get the question.
If you win every week, then could it be enjoyable? And you win an FA Cup, and you come back up. That was sort of.
Yeah, but Phil, this isn't. We're not a club that's been in the relegation zone for the last 5 or 6 years, though, is it? And we're fighting. We're a club that realistically, if we ran properly, we'd be top 6 now, top 7 at least. So, it's not one of those situations where, we're fighting for that much that we're just desperate to win a game. It's not like that, even though it's been like that this season. It hasn't been like that for the generally.
But Pricey got a horrible question for you there, and I hate to put you on the spot, but if you had to win one game this week, what are you picking?
Newcastle.
Yeah, no, that's mad.
It's sad to say. Yeah, it's sad to say, but I think the league's just that much important. I think we need to just get. Yeah.
Do you think we will? Just to end the show. Final comments. Can Everton beat Newcastle? No, not can. Will Everton beat Newcastle on Thursday?
Got to be positive and say haven't you? But got to hope, haven't you? You got to hope. I mean, I'm not putting on it's not a rallying call to the fans, but the fans do need to be up for it, like from the first minute. We do need to be. And as I said before, the players shouldn't be relying on us, and it's not up for us to do it. But it's not for us to win the game for them. But we do need that. There does need to be an atmosphere there on Thursday. That's intimidating for Newcastle.
Yeah, it's on us again, lads. It's on us again. If any Evertonians watching, I agree with Pricey. For some reason, it's on us again, and we'll turn up and we'll get there. Phil, just a quick prediction from you. Me and Pricey think that we possibly could win on Thursday. We have to win. What are you thinking for Arsenal and Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, I think we sneak past Arsenal. If you want a scoreline, I'll give you like 2-1 or maybe 1-0. And I think we'll blow Forest away. That'll be 4-0.
Okay, we're back next Monday, I think, to talk about not only all the games we've just previewed there, whatever else happens. Now there's a big Champions League draw, which I think the Reds are going to want to talk about on Monday. The big discussion this week was my football club is like a stone in the water, and Phil was adamant that he wanted to be on this show to discuss it this week. So we'll try to bring you the best banter and debate as possible. It's a massive week for both football clubs again. Liverpool putting the pressure on Manchester City, both clubs trying to get to Wembley. Everton are in a fight for their lives. We will be back next week to cover it all on the only place you can hear banter and debate from both sides of Stanley Park, from myself, Ian Mills, from Andrew Price, from Phil Roberts. Thanks for checking us out, and we will see you again next week.